I am married to my husband, Gary, and we've been married for 15 years. We have 3 boys. And I'm also a public school teacher, and I do marketing and development for United Rescue Alliance. And so how that came to be is in 2021, the Lord called me back to school to go get my teaching certificate. So I went and did an alt-cert program, jumped right into teaching kindergarten. The year after that, I taught special education. And at the end of that year, it was a really difficult year. And so I was just praying, Lord, like, if you want to move me, just please, like, show me the way to go, show me the next steps. And so that was at Christmas. And then we came back in January, and I had an email that said, if you'll put in your resignation through the end of your contract, we'll pay you $1,000 on your last check. And I took that as my sign, and I went and turned in my resignation without a backup plan. Didn't have another job lined up. June of 23, I was on the phone with a friend, and I'm talking to her about just how I didn't see any doors opening. I had applied at the school where we live in Merkel, and I wasn't hearing anything back. My friend said, do you think maybe if you knew, you'd already be planning for the next instead of spending time with your family? And I thought, oh, that's really good. And so my family and I went on a vacation, and we took a cruise. I'm in the middle of the ocean, and I get a green bubble text from who is my now boss saying, hey, have you found a job yet? And I said, no, but X, Y, and Z would have to work out. Like, I'd have to find childcare for my kids and just all these things. And through a series of events, like, the Lord worked all those things out, and I landed at a charter school here in Abilene. And then in June of 2024, I went on a mission trip with Beltway and United Rescue Alliance to Guatemala. And I had been to Guatemala several times, but this trip I really encountered the Lord in just a personal way, and He did some deep healing. So I went back to TLCA. I was in my quiet time in February, and I heard the Lord say, do not sign your intent to return. So an intent to return says that I'm coming back in August as a teacher. And I thought, what? Like, I wasn't looking for a job. I was quite happy with where I was. The Lord started stirring in my heart to really be more involved with URA. And so I'm talking with my mentor about that. That was in February. And the next week, my boss calls me in, and she says, here's your intent to return. And I told her, I said, I can't sign that. And I really didn't have a reason other than the Lord had told me not to. And I knew that I had heard that clearly. My boss says, I'll give you till the end of March to decide. Well, the end of March comes, and I really still feel that the Lord has asked me not to sign this piece of paper. And so I don't. I actually turned in my resignation. During this time, I'm talking with Angel out at URA. She calls me and she says, Amber, I think it's both and. I think it's both URA and TLCA. I'm pretty sure I said, no, I don't think so. and she so graciously was just like, no, that's what I'm hearing. And so talking with my husband, and in 15 years, he and I have really never been more opposite on a big decision in our marriage. He wanted me to stay in education, and I really just felt the Lord leading me out to United Rescue Alliance. And so one Sunday, I was really just seeking the Lord, and I said, Lord, if you'll just change his heart. And I heard him say, honor him. And so I went to Gary and I said, I'm going to honor you in this. I said, it's very hard for me, but I want to honor you in this decision. And so the next Monday, I'm out at Camp Barkley, just doing some volunteer work for them. And my phone rings, and it's our assistant superintendent. And I pick up the phone, and I said, hello. And he said, Amber. And I said, yeah, are you calling to fire me? Because I already turned in my resignation, just kind of as a joke. And he said, no, actually quite the opposite. I'm calling to offer you the math instructional coach position for the Abilene area. And I said, okay. And he said, we'd also like for you to organize a trip for our senior leadership to Guatemala through United Rescue Alliance. And I remember it almost knocked the air out of me, because here was the both and that the Lord had very clearly designed long before I even saw it. I'm every day amazed at just how He orchestrates our every step, and that even when you chase after the Holy Spirit with everything that you have, that He gives just an adventure that you can't make up, and that you far beyond anything you could plan for yourself.